General Abdel Fattah, the floor is yours, sir. He showed me something on his mobile phone while he was the captain of a plane with a tank pulled by a parachute, and that was not done by anyone before. ID regulated civil aviation authority. So now it moved from being a service provider to a holding company. And it was a successful idea, and the former president decided to ask me to regulate Egypt Air, and Egypt Air was converted into a holding company as well. In 1997, the former president and Dr. Ganzouri asked me, will opening the routes or opening the skies for charter help the national economy? And I said yes, of course. And then they asked me about Egypt Air. And the traffic increased by 15%, and we established Air Guide or Air Express, and we bought 6 planes to accommodate for the increasing demand. So the question has been posed since 1997, and then the cabinet issued a decree to open the skies for charter operators, and you all know this decree well. The rationale here is to take certain measures. These measures were already taken. You need to ensure the independence of the regulator and separate that from service providers. When we had a big traffic, so we had 200 planes staying over in Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada, so we couldn't catch up, so we set a plan from 1997 to 2017. Restructuring service providers to be economically based corporations. All navigation and aviation and airlines should be separated from the regulators. We also established the Egyptian Authority for Aviation Oversight. We restructured service providers to be able to compete. All the companies affiliated to Egypt Air should be offered to a public subscription in the Egyptian stock market. And that shouldn't be part of the airline. Why did we do so? Because we signed GATS. And there are 4 activities inside the aviation sector: ground handling, maintenance, CRS, and free shops, or duty-free shops. This is under the GATS, so we cannot resist that. So we should separate these activities to regulate these activities to be able to compete. We also want to adopt market-centered mechanisms, and this has to do with changing the mindset of the staff. We need to change their mindsets. When we established these companies, their mindset changed over a year. assessment scope. Of course, first legislations. The legislations were not in line with the international trends. So we asked the help of MITRE, which is consultants for the US government. It's a consultation. And we did so in 1996 and up to 2000. We restructured all the legislative sector, and this of course did not run counter to the parliamentarian legislations. And we had Captain Sameh Hafni as a team member after separating Egypt Air. So we had two teams, Civil Aviation Authority and Egypt Air team, and that was approved by the IATA and other international bodies. So we amended civil aviation law, and we restructured this civil aviation authority. We developed all the procedure and operational mechanisms. We developed the safety measures for Egypt Air and other private companies, and that was approved by the IATA and ICAO. Now, the cabinet knew that we had a big air traffic, and everyone was criticizing the sector because I took a risk. Sharm el-Sheikh airport capacity was only 2 to 5 plans, so we had a plan to develop the airports at a national level in 1997, and we finalized every item of this plan. We established modern terminal halls in Luxor, Sharm el-Sheikh and Burj Al Arab. And the credit, of course, goes to Mr. Ahmed Shafi, the Minister of Aviation at the time. And then we established the new airports in Marsa Alam, Taba, Sohag, Asyut. And these BOT airports are fully liberalized. So we took big steps. Marsa Alam Airport is liberalized because there are a number of hotels there, and El Alamein faced a number of problems because, as per the World Bank plan, in 2005 we should have 10,000 hotel rooms, but this is not the case. There are a number of small resorts there. That's why the airport is not fully operational. Also, we automated all the operations for passengers and baggage handling. Some people came to me and told me that we cannot operate because all the check-in measures are manual. You should have electronic check-in. And we responded. So the point is not to open or close. You should be liberalized in line with the international trends. So ICAO and IATA issue all the systems and regulations for airlines. And then the civil authority or the civil aviation authority has become a regulatory body. We also have the holding company for airports and air navigation. We have Cairo Airport Company, and we have Aviation IT or AVAT. And of course, this is the norm in all the international airports. And then In 2001, we restructured Egypt Air, converting it into a holding company and subsidiaries on lines, cargo, maintenance, ground and air services, tourism, duty-free shops, hospitals, and complementary industries. Some companies are not directly linked to aviation. When we wanted to establish Terminal 3 by a loan from the World Bank, they asked us to conduct 5 studies on the importance of liberating air transport sector, and another study on liberating was done by a Canadian consultancy. The positive effects of restructuring airports. Now, in 2003, we have 500 Egyptian pounds, and so the income of the holding company for airports increased from 97 million to 3.5 billion. Egypt Air in 2003 had 5 billion, and in 2010 it had 13 billions. And the timeline stops at 2010 because after that it was catastrophic. These are the positive effects for the partial liberation. We are speaking of air transport liberalization, not only aviation.